There in YouTube land, I'm Marcos Many Dogs, and this is my channel that I've had up for over a year, like a year since last March. I haven't put anything up on here yet, but somebody that watched an interview I did liked it, and so I told them I had a channel but nothing up on it yet, and that person subscribed, and so I decided I better get something up there and not let this person down. So here we go with my intro video, and this is going to be basically a statement letting you know who and what I'm all about, basically, and who and what this channel, what this channel is all about, and what it's not all about also. And I don't want to go back and have to edit this, so if I goof up a little bit here and there, I'm just going to probably leave it in unless something major happens, and you won't know the difference anyway because I will edit it then. I don't intend to use any real bad language, but I might say butt or ass or shit once in a while. And but as far as any big hardcore four-letter words of the darker variety, that's not going to be going on here. I'm trying not to alienate anybody. So first and foremost, I want to say that I'm not going to monetize this channel. I'm not after your money. The only reason I care if you folks subscribe or not is because I want some idea of if I'm wasting my time or not. That's all. I'm not looking for any donations or anything like that. In the future, I may decide to sell some incense products or some copper colloidal generators or something. I don't know. I'm thinking about that, but I really don't need the money. It's just I've got some hookups for some of that stuff, and I wouldn't be doing it to make a bunch of money. I don't care about that. I'm not pimping any books. Heaven forbid public presentations or anything like that. I just want to try to help a little bit, that's all, because we're going through some tough times here, fellow human beings, and I think we've got a rougher road down the tracks a bit, and I want to see if I can do anything to help ease that a little bit for those of you that are resonating somewhere near my frequency level. So Many Dogs, yeah, that's who I am, that's what I am. I wasn't born and raised on the res. I got Indian blood, and I don't even know what tribe my mom's people are of. She wouldn't discuss it with me. The whole rest of the family knew that my mom's mom was a half-breed, and she died when my mom was a little girl, so my mom didn't care to discuss it. Because back when she was born in 1922, it wasn't a real big deal like it is now. Something to brag about to have Indian blood. So because of that, I have no idea. Wherever Topeka, Kansas is, that's where my grandma come from, and she was a half-breed, so I'm imagining maybe it was Sioux. I don't know. And I really don't care, because it's what's in your heart, what's in your soul. That's what counts to me. I'm a mixture of a lot of different bloods, My dad's side of the family, they're all from Austria-Hungary, straight off the boat, my dad being the first one of us born here. My grandparents both being from Austria, with some Hungarian thrown in there, because it used to be one country when my grandfolks come over here. That in and of itself, they're all mixed up. They're Germans and Mongols and Turkic and Gypsy and everything else. And my mom's family, she was part Ashkenazi Jew from a couple centuries back. Her last name was Eiserman, straight up German Ashkenazi Jew last name, but she wasn't raised Jewish, and like I said, that ancestor came here centuries ago. The Indian part of me is kind of what I feel the most in me, because a lot of my spiritual beliefs and ways of doing things and love of animals and nature might just be part of my basic human nature, but it seems to me that a lot of the native folks, Indian folks, whatever Native American to me just means you were born here. That's all it really means. So you call yourself a Native American. If you were born here, you can say that. My best buddy around these parts, he's over there. He's kind of my tech guy today. My buddy Manny, he was married to a Navajo woman and lived up on the Navajo Nation res up in northern Arizona for what, 6 years, Manny?
Yeah,
6 years, and we're going to be having a weekly chat. That's part of the plan for the channel, called Manny and Many Dogs, and we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. His ex-wife's stepfather was the head shaman, head of the Native American church up there on the Navajo Nation res, so he's got some stories to tell. He's been to plenty of peyote ceremonies, and he's still in good favor with his ex's stepfather, so hopefully we'll be getting him online and maybe have a conversation and get it up on the channel if he's agreeable to that. Some words of wisdom from some of our people here, some of the, I won't say original people because I have a funny feeling the original people here, we don't know how far back that goes and who they were and what they looked like, but there's strong evidence that there was a real tall white race with red and blonde hair here before the other folks came over down across the Bering Strait and down through there. Evidence has been found all over the place, all the way through North America, Canada, North America, down into Mexico, Central America, and South America to back up these people, plus combined with Indian legends about them. So basically speaking, we're all brothers, and sisters. I don't want to forget the sisters. We all bleed red. We've all got souls, we've all got minds, we've all got hearts. And now's the time for us to start realizing that and start putting it together and starting to redirect this big ship called the human race before it sinks or falls off the edge or does something else bad. So I'm going to kind of try to have a spiritual focus on this channel. I try to present what I believe to be the way reality is, and not from any particular religious point of view, but from what I've come to the conclusion is a true beyond all masks and costumes point of view. So I get beyond all your religious control systems, whether they be Christian or Muslim or Jewish or animist or Buddhist or Hindu, whatever. I believe, I pretty much know there's an underlying truth behind all your basic religions, and to get to the underlying truth and get through all the trappings and the BS and the control garbage is what I'm going to try to do here. And I'm open for people sharing. And if you comment, I don't care if if there's trolls out there watching this and you're on the paycheck. I know that the dark actors have an inexhaustible supply of money. All right, they can print all they want. They can digitally add and subtract anything they want just by pushing a few keys. So I know for a fact that there's people out there that are on the payroll, and all they do pretty much all day, probably most days, is go around and give people trouble, try to depress them or detour them from continuing on with their mission in life, and try to make them feel bad and all this. Well, I've gone through so much shit in this life, a good part of it my own derivation, but I don't think some ill put forth words in the commentary section of my channel here is going to do anything but maybe make me laugh. I'm almost died a couple times. I mean, seriously, almost died, and it didn't happen. Thank God for that, because I was on hospice for 5 months in 2013, and I had 9 dogs at the time. Only got 5 now. And the reason I didn't let go and just take off was because I didn't have no homes lined up for my doggies. So here I am anyway. So a couple years after I was on hospice, and they gave me some pretty strong pain relievers, and I got, so I wasn't dying no more, so they couldn't keep me on hospice. If you're not dying, they got strict rules on that. When they're spending government money, they've got to be careful and explain why they're spending it, and I wasn't dying no more, so took me off hospice and put me on long-term pain management. Then a couple years after that, in 2015, they came up with a cure for the hepatitis C that was killing me, and it almost did, and called Harvoni, and that took it out. Now, we all know a lot of negative stuff about Big Pharma, but I'm going to say something right here and now. I am well aware. My father was a medical researcher at the Mayo Clinic where I was born. I was a pre-med major for a while and an assistant paramedic and this and that over the years. Never became a doctor or a nurse or nothing, but I got a pretty solid medical background. I can talk shop with the best of them if they chew it up and bird feed me. Most of us that are of a certain level of consciousness know what Big Pharma is up to in a lot of areas. Okay, the vaccines, laboratory designer diseases, etc. But Big Pharma saved my butt like 3 times. So I don't know what to say because I have to be honest and fair. No matter, I don't care if it's with Satan himself. It's something I got to be. So, you know, yeah, I know some of the nasty, evil stuff they've been up to and are planning to get into coming up here pretty soon. But also they've saved a lot of lives and done good stuff. So how does that come out in the wash? You're going to hate them? I can't. They saved my life 3 times. So all I can do is look at the whole picture. And that's pretty much how I look at life. The Harvoni treatment I went on to cure the Hep C. It was 80 days, 1 pill a day, $1,000 a pill. That's 80 grand, which I did not have. That was all paid for by Medicare or Medicaid or whoever. Basically the government paid for it, and I'm well aware of a lot of the evil that the government's been up to and is up to and has been up to. Very aware of it, but they also paid for the medication to save my life. So it's a tough call to make. What I would like to do is see institutions are just that, institutions, whether it be Big Pharma or any particular nation's government or any particular religion. They're institutions. It's the people inside those institutions that make the institution what it is, good, bad, ugly, beautiful, whatever. So it's just like a hammer, all right? A hammer is a hammer. It's a tool. You can either use it to drive nails and, you know, build a house with, or you can smack somebody's head in with it and kill them or do serious brain damage. It's kind of up to, you know, the human essence or the human participation in these institutions that determines their course of action and whether they're to be considered good or evil. So I won't take any stand as far as a vehement position against any institution. I see the good and the bad in everything, everybody. You know, my grandmother, till the day she died, and she was a very good woman, very good woman. She thought Hitler did a lot of good for Germany, because she went over there in '36 with my grandpa. They went to visit their relatives in Austria, and they saw Hitler speak in Berlin, and everybody was working, and you could almost eat right off the street. It was so clean, and you know, that's what she saw. She didn't see the camps. She didn't know anybody who was in the camps. I knew 2 people that had been in the camps with tattoos on their arm and the whole bit. I researched that quite a bit. One of my best friends here, he died a few years ago from Viagra, believe it or not, but he was about, when he died, he was about the same age I am now. I'm almost 67. He was from Hungary, and he was my best buddy till he died. Tomasz Bartmi. He, his family, when he was in Hungary, converted to Catholicism, so his family became Catholic, but part of his family didn't. His uncles, I forget who else, his uncles and cousins, and some of his pretty close family, but not his immediate family, they stayed Jewish, and they ended up dying in the camps in Auschwitz. So, you know, the way I look at things is, you know, I don't see much good about what the Nazis did, for sure. I lost some family on that side. I never knew them, but some of my second or third cousins died fighting for the Third Reich over there. I heard about them, but one was an SS officer, I think. Another one was a Hitler Youth Camp coordinator. I think those two, they were brothers, and I think they died in a Russian prisoner of war camp, but I never knew them or anything. And those are the chances you take. You want to affiliate yourself with an organization, with an outfit like what Hitler had going, and do those kind of terrible things to people, and be part of an organization who was doing that to people. I'm not real high and hot on order takers. You know, if you just follow orders without questioning what those orders are all about. Like if someone tells you, we want you to go and whack somebody over on 32nd Street, and you don't know who that person is, and, you know, you don't even let your conscience get involved in questioning what's going on. And I'm sorry, but I think you're messing up big time. You know, you're like a robot then. You're creators, and in the Bible, creators, it's plural. It's not creator, it's Elohim, and that's plural for the heavenly ones. And Hashem Elohim is like kind of the head or counselor or head group coordinator of the Elohim. But that, according to the Old Testament, according to Genesis, those are our designers and manufacturers. And we were imbued with a conscience, you know, as well as a consciousness. And we're supposed to use that conscience for everything, all the time. And I myself, I hardly ever even kill a fly. I don't eat any meat. And I'm not telling you people out there to do this, that, or the other thing. You know, when it comes to what you eat and what you do what you feel you want to or have to do. I'm just, for the sake of this channel and whatever influence it might have, I'm just putting forth my beliefs, coming right from my heart through my big mouth out there to YouTube land, the internet frequency, whatever. You know, I love all animals. I've had all kinds of pets. By the way, this owl in back of me here, I don't worship owls, folks. For 5 years, I lived 15 minutes slow walking time from the front entrance of the Bohemian Grove. Okay, I know about the big giant owl they got there and all this and that. Okay, and I'll tell you right now, if they want to pray to a statue of an owl, I could care less. But I don't worship anything, nothing. Okay, the reason that owl's there is because when I was a kid, I had to, well, first of all, I wanted to put something as a backdrop. There ain't just a beige-colored, boring white wall. So I had a stack of blankets in the back room, and that was on the top. I didn't even know I had it. A friend of mine got them. Someone gave them to him, and I was looking for a backdrop, and there it was, first thing on the top of the pile. So there it is. I had 2 pet owls as a kid. The one that looked like that, it died the next day after I got it. It was in bad shape when my dad found it and brought it home. But before that, some years before that, I had a small, we called them hoot owls, about, I guess about a foot, a little over a foot tall, full grown. And it was a baby that fell out of the nest during a heat spell. And my dad brought it home, and I fed it hamburger by hand and water with an eyedropper, and I got it up and rolling. I named him Michael Andrew Hootie, after the Michael Andrew part was one of my best friends at the time, and the Hootie, because it was a hoot owl. And that owl was like my best buddy. He broke out of his little cage one day or night and got loose, and I cried for a couple days. And then my dad come up and said, "Hey, come out in the garage here, Marco, and got to show you something." And up in the rafters in the garage, there was Michelangelo. He just come back. He took right off after that, but he came back to show me he was okay and not to worry. And I didn't. After that, I felt okay in my heart, and it went on. So that's why that owl's there. To me, it's just a picture of an owl, folks. A nice one. I like it. It's a little bit of the Halloweenish look inside and stuff, but I don't worship anything. If you want to call it God, I communicate or pray or whatever you want to call it to Great Spirit, but for my way of thinking and knowing and believing or whatever, Great Spirit is everything. And it's hard for me to swallow and accept that Great Spirit is in everything, because there's some evil SOBs out there. I mean, you got Mother Teresa and Gandhi and Christ and some other good folks on one hand. Then you got like Jeffrey Dahmer's, John Wayne Gacy, these other, freaks of nature or whatever like that certainly comprise what you could call the dark side. But I think that's the way the phenomenal universe is. It's a duality, and you can't get away from it. Everything that exists has a light and a shadow. You can't see anything without the contrast of light and shadow. You can't hear anything without the contrast of high frequency and low frequency. So I guess that duality is part of what we're stuck with. I don't like it very much because I haven't always been the best person in the world. I haven't done anything absolutely terrible. Never took a human life or such like that. But I certainly have been no saint. Sure as hell no angel. But I try to forgive those people that have offended me greatly, and I've prayed in my heart for forgiveness, if not asked them outright, from those folks that I have offended wrongly in the past, and doing pretty much the best I can now to be the best person I can be. And I'm just going to keep rolling like that till the end. I'm not here trying to judge anybody else or lay a trip on anybody on how you should be, how you shouldn't be. I'm just presenting what I feel and what I believe, because it's my channel, and I think everybody should have a channel on YouTube. Everybody's got something to share. One of these days I might play a little guitar and or sing a little, if I get a hankering. I ain't good. I've been playing a long time, and I should be a hell of a lot better than I am at singing and guitar picking, but in between living in 5 countries and having kids and almost dying a couple times and this and that and the other thing, I haven't put much of my heart and soul into my music. But, sometimes I'm not half bad, and I might do a little song or two one of these days in the future, but not to show off or anything, because I'll tell you right now, I'm not very good, but the reason I'll do it is to try to stimulate some of you folks out there that don't think you're any good. You hear me play, you're going to say, well, I'm better than him. But I hear some of these kids on YouTube, they're like 15, 16 years old. I've been playing guitar over 50 years, and they play circles around me. And this one fellow, I forget his last name. Guitar Max is the name of his channel. He's in maybe 30s, young fella, real beautiful human being. Has a channel about where to get really inexpensive equipment. He evaluates it, shows you how to do modifications, and he's an excellent player. I don't think he sings, but he's just sharing, what he knows, and he's a great player. But you don't have to be great to do a song on. Maybe some jokes, nothing, really raunchy or anything, but nothing wrong with telling some jokes, even if they're a little bit shady, as long as they're not like, jokes that'll hurt anybody, or racist oriented or whatever, you got a few jokes. Maybe you're good at telling jokes, make people laugh, I don't see nothing wrong with that. Maybe you got some special recipes that you can share. you know, Grandma Sadie's special fruitcake, you know. I don't know, whatever, you know. Whatever you got to share, share it. We got to, folks, we got to get this together here, you know. This ain't no joke now. You know, wars are not, with the weaponry they got now, we're not talking, you know, 1,000 people getting killed on a battlefield or whatever. We're talking about whole cities taken out with hundreds of thousands of people, and that was 60 years ago, you know. And whether you believe that nukes exist or not doesn't really matter. They've got some explosives that are hellacious, okay? And, you know, I don't know. Half of what they tell us about everything's a lie, so you just kind of got to go with your guts and screen your information. Use your discernment. You know, besides your conscience, use your creator-given discernment so you can shake out, you know, separate like panning for gold, you know. Separate the gold nuggets from the sand and the mud. Separate the truth and the valid information from the bullshit. Okay? That's all in you, you know. And you young people in the military, if any of you happen to watch this, I think the world of you people as young people, as human beings. I could tell you a couple stories about a couple GIs that, you know, I'll just tell you one real quick and a couple more, but I was loading up some lumber in front of Lowe's, and I was having trouble with some of these 4x8 hardboard masonite sheets. They weren't heavy, they were cumbersome. I couldn't get them in the back of my pickup. There was two GIs, and I have a lot of military bases around here. Okay, I live right smack dab in the middle of a whole, like the Holloman Air Force Base, Briggsfield. The German Luftwaffe has a base here. There's White Sands. I can go on a few more. So anyway, these guys were either still in basic. They had their camo khakis on, and one of them, they were right behind McDonald's, just starting to eat their lunch. Young man sees that I'm having a little trouble. I had it handled, but it was a little troublesome. He runs over to help me load up the few sheets of that I had left, with this Big Mac jammed in his jaw, just starting to eat it, didn't say a word, you know, kept his hamburger in his mouth, helped me load up a couple sheets, and it's headed back. Didn't wink or smile. He couldn't smile. He had a hamburger stuck in his face. I told him thank you, saluted him, and that's a young man, and I don't like to think that they're going to, you know, put him in a life-risking situation, or put him in a situation where he has to take the life of somebody else. And the suicide rate among GIs that are returned from a combat situation, it's way higher than the national average. I'm not sure what it is. We've got to start realizing we're all human beings here. Okay? We've been divided and conquered. And I think the very nature of what you want to call God or whatever I call Great Spirit is in each one of us. Of course, with me, I believe it's in every living thing. That's how I think and feel about it. Every animal. Dogs, you know, dogs are so superior to us in some ways. Their hearing, their sense of taste, their sense of smell, their, you know, the power in their jaws. They can see in the dark almost because they have reflective, posterior part of their irises are reflective, so they can see far better in the dark, catch the infrared. They're incredible creatures. There's a whole bunch of other creatures that are in the animal kingdom that physically at least are far superior to us. They can't manipulate tools like we can. But in my opinion, they're even flies. And I don't have a house full of flies, but I live in the country. People got chickens and goats and horses and ducks, you name it out here. So there's, you know, a certain time of the year there's a certain amount of flies out here. Once in a while I'll watch one or two, watch what they do. And they're incredible what they can do. They, you know, they investigate things, and they'll walk on something and look at it and check it out, then just take off like a rocket and do aerobatics that are just phenomenal. And these are all creations of Great Spirit. These are all wonderful. And don't tell me they can't think and they don't have minds, and don't ever tell me they don't have souls. You know, I'm sorry. You know, first of all, you can't prove. I can prove they do just by the fact that they live and by their activities. You know, there's a parrot this lady had. I saw it quite a long time ago. It was on mainstream TV. Those Amazing Animals or something. It was an African gray parrot. They're real big. And it had a vocabulary of, I think, 40 words, if I don't remember correctly. And she took some canned corn out of the refrigerator and gave the parrot some to eat, and the parrot said, "Ah, corn!" And then right after it said, the lady said, "Yeah," whatever the parrot's name was, "Cold corn." So not only did that parrot know that it was eating corn by what it looked like and tasted like, whatever, it also knew that it was cold. And then dogs are phenomenal. Sometimes I don't even have to talk to my dogs. I live with them. They sleep with me. And no, I don't have fleas and ticks all over the place. You can ask Manny. He's over here every day pretty much. I don't even have to talk to him sometimes. And they don't have to, they just, the way they look at me or the way I look at them is just instant communication. Not all the time. And on occasion, rare occasions, thank dog, but they get possessed by, you can say what you want, I know what's going on here. In Hebrew they're called the shadim. They're the Arabs or the Muslims call them jinn. Christians call them demons. They're evil spirits that are in the spirit realm. They come into my dogs once in a while. It's very rare, but I've seen them attack each other and try to kill each other, and, not because they're hungry, I'll tell you that. These are the forces we have to deal with. Unfortunately, and I don't understand why, but all the demonic spirits, the jinn, the shadim, whatever you want to call them, they're part of creation too. I'm no great lover of rattlesnakes or any kind of snakes for that matter. But I saved 2 rattlesnakes off my street here. Why? Because anybody on the street, if they see them, they're going to kill them. And I believe those critters have a right to live. Rattlesnakes are not evil. Okay, they can be kind of scary. They got weird looking eyes with the sideways slits and all that. And if they bite you, especially a Mojave or a big eastern diamondback, 8-footer, they bite you, you're probably going to die. And a Mojave has a real strong neurotoxin. They're not very big, but they've got a real strong venom. So they can kill you, but the only way they're going to bite you, the only reason they bite you is because you scare them and they think their life's in danger. And it's like an automatic reaction. Or you're a rat or something that they want to eat and they're hungry. There was some show on TV where, I forget what show it was, there's people in bathtubs, just regular people that were in this contest, and they were putting all these rattlesnakes on the people. And I don't think they were defanged or devenomated. They put like about 50 rattlesnakes on each person. And the person just held still in the bathtub, and the rattlesnakes didn't do nothing. They got these fools, in my opinion they're fools in Kentucky and West Virginia, like the Church of Jesus Christ, the Science Following and stuff like that. They dance around with, hooting and hollering and, with venomous snakes in their hands. And they get bit from time to time because the snakes don't know what to make of these fools. And it doesn't say in the Bible go around and handle every snake and drink poison. It says, if something like that happens and you get stuck in the position where you got to do that, if you're truly a believer and you're and the spirit's in you, then you will be protected. And I believe that too. But don't tempt the fate or whatever you want to call it, because we're not supposed to be doing that. It's like, oh, great spirit, the Holy Spirit will protect me. I'll walk out in the front of traffic going down, I-10 here, at quitting time or whatever, I can do it because the great Holy Spirit's protecting me. That's not what you're supposed to do. Depend on the Holy Spirit to protect you when you need protection, but don't that's just like, that's a game you're playing, and you're going to lose eventually playing that game. So I don't know, folks. Manny, how long have I been spitting on here? Yeah, I don't want to
34 minutes.
Okay. One thing about my channel, folks, I don't want to go much over an hour anytime. There might be times I might push it to an hour and a half if it's something particularly interesting and I think useful. We're going to be getting off into some stuff that's going to be a lot more interesting than this introductory video. This is just to give you an idea, like I said, of what's up and this and that. Two things I will not be discussing, at least any length or, you know, what's the word I want, to any detailed amount here on my channel, and that is the flat earth and the 9/11 deal. There's plenty of stuff on the internet, especially on YouTube, about those two topics. And I just don't think there's any need for me to reiterate what's already out there. If people are interested, I can hook you guys up with the sites that I've found to be most informative about those two topics. And I've gone through all that. I've checked out pretty much everything on YouTube dealing with 9/11 and the flat earth situation. Those are somewhat controversial, and I don't think they can be used as subjects of contention to help divide us against each other, and that's the exact opposite of what I want to do here. So my main thing is to get people to start waking up and fill your hearts with love. A lot of the information that's out here is scary. Okay, it's depressing, it's angering, especially once you realize it's true. A lot of people, I got one good friend, the only good friend I have around here besides Manny. Of course, Manny's my bro. We're almost Siamese twins. But my other friend who lives down the street here, he's a hell of a smart man. He's a good heart. But, a couple of years back, he had a real bout with depression, and he doesn't want to go back into that headspace. So a lot of this information he will not discuss. He pretty much blows me off because I am kind of into this information and into just imparting it and discussing it. So I don't blame people for kind of avoiding and averting some of this info. But you know what? You either wake up or you don't. And if you don't, then I think what's coming down the tracks is going to be a hell of a lot worse than waking up and facing the music and doing something about it. Hell, what I might talk about here in the near future coming up might get me killed. I'm not afraid of death. I don't like pain very much any more than anybody else, but I've had my share of that. And believe me, before I went on hospice, I was down to 118 pounds, could barely crawl to the bathroom, and pretty bad. And then when I was 19, I had caught typhoid fever and hepatitis A in Mexico, and that almost did me in. And I can't tell you how much that hurt. Yeah, buddy. Anyway, the fact remains is I didn't die at those two times when I came real close to doing so. And I feel there's a reason for that, and it ain't just taking care of a bunch of dogs, although I love doing that, and they're my life, and they're my family. But I think there's something, and Manny's in on this, and he knows what I'm talking about. Like I said, discussions. Try to do it once a week. Manny and many dogs, and we'll talk about various things. He's a lot cuter and younger than I am, so you'll probably enjoy our discussions. He's done a lot of living for being a man not even 40 yet, and we're on the same frequency and everything, and it's none of this I'm superior because I've lived in 5 countries and I'm 26 years older than you. It ain't like that. When Manny and I talk, it's on an equal basis, and he's done a lot of thinking and a lot of researching, and he's got some stuff to say, so we're going to have that talk once a week. That's the plan anyway. And I guess a couple more things. I want to give a hello, shout out to a few people. My friend Rosa in San Antonio. Bienvenidos a mi canal, mija. Te amo, mi corazón, todavía. Mira mi canal, mija, cuando tenga la chance. And then my friend Sasha in Russia. Большой привет, брат. I lived in Russia for almost a year, and he's one of my best friends in the world, and he lives in China most of the time for business reasons, and so he speaks fluent Chinese, fluent Russian, and fluent English, and he's learning a little Spanish. So Sash, Большой привет, brat. And I might start doing the presentations in Russian if you think I speak it good enough. Believe me, folks, my Russian ain't that great, but I talk a lot better than I understand, so I might be able to do. I certainly want to do some presentations in Spanish because I speak Spanish fluently. So I'm thinking of doing the Spanish version of my channel too. But we'll see. We'll see if any of y'all out there like this in English first. Like I said, we're not getting into any real hard, heavy information right now. When I do have future presentations on my channel, please have a pen or a pencil and paper handy, because I'm going to refer you. I'm not giving you links, and I'm not going to use copyrighted material on my channel. It's just too much of a hassle. Some of it you can use without any problems. Other stuff you get strikes for, or people, whatever. So I will give you links. I will tell you what channel and what production if you want to check out when I make references to certain informational videos on. Usually, most of it's on YouTube. Some of it won't be, but I'll be like, for instance, when it comes to the ancient megalithic structures that are found worldwide, I'll be referring you to Megalithomania UK or Megalithomania on YouTube. Hugh Newman, Jim Vieira, and his brother, I forget his brother's name, it's either Stephen or Bill. The Vieira brothers had a show on TV called In Search of Lost Giants or something, and I'll be referring you to various YouTube productions dealing with giants when I cover that information on my channel, or the ancient megaliths that are found worldwide, like I said, and that's really interesting in my opinion. And then, we'll just go, and if you want to see what they look like, you'll have to go and follow my lead there as far as getting on the sites that have the pictures and the information that develops off my main information. And my friend Terry Carter, I've got a couple interviews on his channel, Terry Carter Treasure Hunter. He's one of my favorite bros. We've never met in person, but he's got all these uploads on YouTube about ancient treasures and these ancient red-haired white mummies that have been found in various places, and old ghosts and old gold mining towns and stuff. Just neat stuff. I watch his productions on his channel for a diversion, so I don't have to think about all this heavy, heart-rotting stuff that I study up on and do research on, pretty much continually. His information, his productions on his channel brings out the kid in me, and lost gold mines, ancient treasures, and it's not just BS. It's stuff that I've studied besides his channel. I was interested in all this stuff before I ever heard of Terry, and when I found out about him, it was like, throwing BBs to a magnet or something, because he was just on the same line of thinking and interest I was on. So for that type of material, anyways. I don't know really what else to tell you folks. I've had a good amount of. There's a fly on my camera. Excuse me, folks. Okay. I don't know if you saw that little guy or not, but I guess he wanted to get in on the show. I have empathy in my heart for everybody out there, especially people that are trying to do something, trying to help. And it's hard to figure out what to do. The chemtrails, they hit us with these dang chemtrails almost every day. Hard and heavy. I mean hard and heavy. It's really affecting my buddy Manny and me. I mean, he nods out. You don't mind me saying this, do you?
Oh, no, that's fine.
Okay. And I know him. He was my housekeeper before he was, they cut my housekeeping services. We just stayed friends. He still helps me out around the house. And lately, the last, couple of months, Neil,
Yeah.
he just nods out, and he's getting plenty of sleep and everything else. I feel what he feels, but it's not hitting me as heavy. And I've researched what they've found, what they've analyzed in the chemtrail nanoparticulates. By the way, Clifford Carnicom, as well as Sophia Smallstorm. I'll give a whole thing on that later, but Clifford Carnicom and Sophia Smallstorm, they've done the best research I've found on the chemtrails so far. And that, you start researching about the planes and the chemtrail, it gets weird. It goes, it's not just, believe me, this ain't about geoengineering, or definitely not principally about it. We'll get into that in a future video. But it's really rough on some of us. You know, you feel like crap all day. My sense of smell, and I used to have a really good sniffer. You know, I really had a strong, very, very precise sense of smell. It's gone now. It's gone. It's just like destroyed, and I know it's the chemtrails. You know, I don't sniff anything I shouldn't be sniffing anymore, or anything I even should be sniffing. But fact remains is that my sense of smell is gone, and Manny's isn't. So it hasn't affected him that way. These chemtrails don't affect everybody the same way, or to the same degree. But we'll get into that later. But if any of you are really suffering with the chemtrails, I'm trying to find out ways to help you. Number one, the most important thing I found right now, and Manny jumped on this. Well, neither one of us eat meat. He went veg very shortly after he met me because he was ready to do that. I still eat dairy. Manny can't. He's lactose, totally intolerant. So he doesn't eat much dairy, if any. I have trouble. I like cheese, and I know the dairy industry is cruel, and I know that. I know all about it. Right across, it's called the Gap. It's the tail end of the Franklin Mountains here. There's a road that goes over to it that hooks you up with I-10, heading on into Cruces or the other way into El Paso. Okay, right along the Rio Grande, which is right there, there's like 20 plus miles of dairies, pretty much back to back. A lot of them. I don't know how many, but it's solid dairies there pretty much. And I got a chance to talk to one of the owners. He gives away free cow poop, you know, and we went and got some, and I talked to the owner. And they're not doing that well. A lot of them are selling out and closing down. They're just not doing that good. But he was a good man, a decent man, but I know the dairy industry is cruel. I'll get into that in a future thing, but they're cruel. The one thing, though, when you're partaking in dairy, I love milk, I like cream cheese, I like sour cream. I don't like cottage cheese very much, but I like butter. I like, did I leave anything else out? Sour cream? Every kind of cheese you can imagine, pretty much, except some of those smelly European ones. Pass on that. Shoot, like baby diapers or something, dirty ones. So anyway, I'll eat that, and usually not by itself. It's usually like, you know, cheese on beans or a quesadilla, something related to Mexican stuff. But you know, at least I'm not putting a piece of dead animal flesh in my mouth. I'm sorry. I used to be almost a strict carnivore. My dad was an avid hunter. I hunted and fished when I was a kid, and I almost started my own sausage company once. I bought equipment, you know, real basic equipment. I was going to get to, once I started making some money, get large, you know, pretty much upscale, larger scale production equipment. But I was going to start my own sausage company. I didn't because there's too many rules and regulations. But I loved sausages. Oh, I'm telling you, you know, I should have been an infomaniac. I love sausages, and but I you know, didn't start it for various reasons, and now, you know, I look back and I think, oh gosh, you know, because I haven't eaten meat for a number of years now and wouldn't consider doing it now. But I'm not telling you guys what to eat or what not to eat, because, you know, if and when you change off that's when you change. No one could make me any different than I was until it was time to do so. Mijo, I just sat up in the chair. Am I okay?
Yeah, you're okay.
All right. Sorry. I probably won't get edited out, so just bear with me. I'm going to go on for about another 15, 20 minutes, so if you bared with me this, you know, if you could stand looking at my ugly old face and hear my somewhat droning, crotchety old voice this long, then maybe there's hope for this channel. I don't know. But basically speaking, I'm going to usually cover one topic with each production and try to stay on that. And I will, like I said, have a pen or a pencil handy and some paper, because I will be giving you references to further your investigation and see photos, and, you know, I'll hook you up with the people where I get my information from, who I've pretty much validated. You know, I'm fairly well educated. You know, I've got the AA, degree, graduated with honors. No big deal. I was working on my master's, but to me, all those college degrees and all that crap, for the most part, unless you're actually involved in actual scientific research of some kind, it's all basically memorizing and regurgitating information. Okay, I did graduate with honors in the Mexican American Studies Department in 1984. I was a bilingual teacher. I taught English for the amnesty program, under the paid by the Department of Immigration for a few years, and so that's my professional background. I taught multi-subject bilingual in the public school system for a few years in Spanish, this and that and the other thing. So, I do have a formal education, and for what it's worth, my main interests have primarily been the hard sciences as well as archaeology. I love history, but I certainly don't believe a lot of the stuff of a historical perspective that I used to believe. A lot of that's just BS, and we're going to get into that in one of these future spits as well. I might show you guys a few little household tricks and stuff I know about. I might get into some of that, maybe show you a recipe or two. I don't know. I'm going to try to stay with the most important hardcore information, at least at first, but there's a lot of little helpful health hints I can help you with. Manny and I only drink distilled water. We have well water here in Chaparral, where the town we live in, and comes from 300 feet down, and two water companies here in this town, and Manny gets his water from one, I get it from the other, and somehow fluoride and all kinds of other crap's getting in it. So we bought these distillers. You can get them on eBay, pretty cheap. Hey Manny, what'd you pay for your distiller?
60 bucks.
All right, yeah, they're pretty cheap, and I'll make a recommendation in one of these future episodes on which one to get. But we only drink distilled water, and then also there's some benefits to colloidal copper solution, and I'll give a thing about that, and I might even start selling those because I learned how to make it. There's a guy on YouTube that showed, well, I'll get into that some other time. I won't get into that right now. So I'll have one whole thing on colloidal copper and water distillers in the near future. Let me know, if that sounds interesting to you guys. Go ahead and tell me what's interesting to you folks, because there's a lot of things I know something about, at least enough to do a spit on here. I've had a pretty interesting experiential life. I lived in 5 countries and 7 states in this one. I don't know if you can call it a country anymore, but I guess it still is. And I speak a few different languages. My Russian ain't that hot, but I still get by in it. And I've had a lot of experiences. Like I said, I lived 15 minutes slow walking time from the front entrance of the Bohemian Grove for 5 years. And don't have much to tell you about that, but I'll tell you right now, they're not all gay guys that go there, because I sold weed to a couple of the working girls that were working the Grove during their annual encampment, and they were definitely girls. And that was a long time ago, and yeah, I was involved in the weed trade, just the weed trade, and I'm not really too ashamed of that, considering it's almost legal everywhere now. Don't do it anymore, wouldn't do it anymore, but back then in my 20s, I had no qualms about it. But yeah, so I'll give a little talk on what I know about the Grove, which ain't a lot, but it might be interesting. By the way, Alex Jones did not crash the Grove. 2 guys I went to high school with, 2 brothers that worked auxiliary security during their annual encampment in late July, and Alex Jones did not crash the Grove. What was probably going on is he was an invited guest, and I'll tell you right now, everybody up there when they saw him probably said, "Bill, how you doing?" Because I'll tell you right now, I don't know if Bill Hicks is a real person or not, but I'll tell you right now, Alex Jones is the guy that used to bill himself anyway as Bill Hicks. And you can check that out on your own. I'm not going to delve into that. I'm not going to waste a whole bunch of time or another whole. Darling, go lay down. Go lay down. I'm a doggy trouble here. Go lay down, Dar. Good girl. Anyway, so and nothing against Alex Jones. As a matter of fact, he was. I know all this stuff about his involvement with this and that and the other. But I'll tell you, he was one of the first people I started listening to in early 2013. That I pretty much cut my teeth on him and a couple other guys that more than likely are working for the powers that shouldn't be on some level, but that doesn't mean that every little bit of information that they're spitting out is totally to divert you from the path or is lies or misinfo. It's not. Alex, Bill or whoever he is, and he's an actor. Yeah, I mean you can tell. I was interested in drama, for a number of years when I was younger, but I'm not putting on any false airs. I'm not pretending to be somebody I'm not or nothing like that. But, I've always liked acting and put on plays when I was in grammar school and took a drama course when I was in college. And, of course, it was just stage prop production. I couldn't get on stage and do my thing and put makeup on and have fun, but, I was interested in all that, props and the stage production as well. So, but Alex is an actor, and there's a lot of actors on YouTube. You got all Neil deGrasse Tyson and Bill Nye and numerous other people. I can go on and on, but I'm not going to be dealing out negative cards usually. Once in a while, these are things that are pretty obvious to anybody that is observant and uses their discernment. Mostly, I want to try to supply some kind of guidance and direction and useful information that can be used to counteract some of the negative factors involved with these agendas that are being incorporated now on a worldwide basis. If I can help, I'm going to try. I'm going to give it my best shot. I'm not here, believe me, I'm not here to show my pretty face off in internet land. Or meet that special someone, or make money off monetizing my channel, or getting patronage or whatever it is, donations. I live very comfortably on $800 a month, maybe $810 or $815 counting my food stamps, $25 whole dollars. I live very comfortably on that. I don't need your money. I don't want your money. If you want to do something to make me happy, go adopt a dog, okay? Go save a dog somewhere. Go to your local animal shelter and pick a pup out that's on death row, Or go find a stray that's on your street that nobody wants it, for the damn dog Nazis get it. You want to do something good. I love all animals. I just happen to great spirit. I'm many dogs because that's the way it rolled. I like cats too. There's reasons I don't have them here, because number one, my dogs would. I've seen what they do to cats. If I'm there in time, I'll stop it, but sometimes I'm not. Twice they've done, yeah. But I love cats. I think cats are totally cool animals. I've had all kinds of pets. I've had pet raccoons. I've had pet rats. I've had pet rabbits. Pet owls I told you about. I've had dogs, obviously. I've had pet cats, hamsters. Not too many birds aside from the owls. And then only that one I had for a long time, Michael Andrew Hootie. I'm trying to think of what else. I had a pet snake once, but I'm not really into keeping snakes. They should be in the wild and left alone. I fed a rat to it, a really neat little rat I bought at a pet shop, and that tears me up to this day. Because I had pet rats before, and this looked like one of my favorite pet rats. And I don't know that was way many years ago, like 35 years ago or something. And that memory still tears me up. So pet snakes are not something I had like one, maybe a couple, maybe when I was younger that were bug-eating snakes I found up in the hills. But the gopher snake I had to either let it go or give it, you know, something like that. So I decided to do something that, until my memory fails me, will probably haunt me and cause me heart pain. Anyway, won't be much use to giving you information on romantic things. You can listen to Delilah on whatever channel you get her on. I think she's probably worldwide by now. She's real good about giving romantic and relationship advice. I'm single. I'm single. Manny is too, but I've been single for a long time, and there's a reason for it. It's not that I don't like girls. I you know, even at my tender age of almost 67, I am still very attracted to pretty ladies, as long as they behave in themselves. But I, you know, those days are over. I had many years in the sun. I was a nice-looking guy when I was quite a bit younger, and as you can tell, all that's changed over the centuries. But you know, I can walk and get around, and I'm not dying, and the hepatitis C is gone. I got a lot to be thankful for, and that's one thing I'm going to spit out now, just before closing. Be appreciative. You know, the last 3 years. Well, this coming November, do you remember when Bobo died, Mijo? What day? What November? What? 30th was it?
Yeah.
I think it was November 30th. I lost my last male, and he was my last wolf dog. I was back breeding species of dogs that were close to the wolf, like shepherd, husky mixes, and I was back breeding them for wolf light. And Bobo was the last one of them dogs I had, and he was he pretty wolfy looking?
Yeah.
He looked wolfy, like a Hollywood wolf, wouldn't you say? Like you'd expect a wolf, not like they really look.
Yeah.
Remember how big, compared to most wolves I've seen, the wolves you see that they have on the documentaries are kind of small.
Yeah.
Bobo was pretty big. But anyway, he died last November 30th after spending $2,000 on operations for him. To save him from the same thing that killed his papa the year before that. But his papa was pretty old, so I opted not to go for the operations. Then the year before that, I lost another one of my wolf dogs, Tess. She was magical. So 3 years in a row, Tessa was all white, and she was actually she was part coyote. Found her, or she found me in the street. She was absolutely beautiful. This all white dog with 2 different colored eyes. And I think it's the Pawnee tribe say those are spirit dogs. When a dog has 2 colored eyes, they're great for protection for you because they can see into both worlds, the material, physical world, and the spirit world. She found me in the street, and you know, I reported her to the animal control and kept her here in case anybody, because she was too beautiful for someone just to turn her loose or kick her out. And she was mine. Nobody ever claimed her and inquired about her. And she was pretty old. I don't know how old she was. She was an adult when I found her. But she died coming up this November 3 years ago. So 3 years in a row I lost 3 of my, well, they're all favorites, but 3 of my wolf dogs, the last of them. And it was a heart wrencher, especially Bobo. He was my last male. I raised him from the time he was born. I helped his mama deliver him right here in the house. And it was a heart wrencher. And, you know, spending the $2,000 for his operations, I ain't a rich man, but if they would have worked, that would have been be nothing. I would spend every penny I had, which wasn't much more than that. You know, been happy if it had worked, but it didn't. He died. And he died the night of his last operation. But I got him home. He didn't die on the table, at least. But I got to keep reminding myself, appreciate what you do have. I still got 5 dogs. And if another one shows up in front of my house, or I find one along the road somewhere that looks homeless, then I got 6 dogs. And if I find 2 more running around out there, you know, I always try to find the owners to do what I can. If I find 2 more, then I got 7 dogs. And we can go on up, because I've had up to 15 before, which is kind of pushing it. I was pretty sick back then, and $15 was quite a bit to handle back then. I had some trouble back then, and some of them got loose and was killing neighbors' chickens, and that cost me money. And but anyway, point is, be appreciative of what you got. Don't dwell on your losses. Sure, it's going to hurt if you lose a loved one, whether it be a four-legged or a two-legged loved one, or if you lose a chunk of money. If you lose it gambling or doing something stupid, well, that's your own damn fault. But if you lose money because some reason, and by gambling I also mean the stock market. All right. So basically speaking, if something happens and you lose a bunch of money or this or that, or your car gets in a wreck but nobody gets really hurt bad and stuff, any kind of those losses, try and be appreciative of what you still got, because things can always get worse, pretty much. You talk to people that lost everything in a war somewhere, and when they put the Japanese here in camps, they took all their property, right, Mijo?
Yeah.
They just the same way they did with the Jews over in Europe, when they put the Japanese, everybody in the West, they put in camps during World War II, and they didn't torture them or anything in there. I guess they were, if they were fed pretty decently, or
Yeah. So
they had laundry facilities and exercise. I did a little research on them, but all those people, all their property and everything got took. Japanese are basically smart people, so a lot of them were able to put their land and their belongings, like a house or whatever, in trust with someone. Hopefully that someone was trustworthy. But people have gone through a lot worse than anything you and I can probably have gone through. Some people have gone through worse stuff than we can imagine. So be appreciative for what you got. Be thankful. Be honest. There ain't no need to lie and cheat and steal and do any of that stuff. Don't take stuff unless like anything as far as pain relievers or alcohol or even cannabis. If you don't need it, don't take it. Hell, I don't even, I grew weed with one of the best growers in Cali. I've helped smuggle it across the border, and we're not talking a little bag either. We're talking, not truckloads either, but, substantial amounts. Was in that business for a long time. And everything else, but, I don't even smoke it now, because I don't like it very much, and I don't need it, and I don't even smoke cigarettes. I don't drink. I quit that way back when, not because I wanted to. That was my drug of choice. I liked alcohol, but with a bad liver, it got so I couldn't drink. It made me sick every time I smelled it. So, and then the last thing was the cigarettes, and that just fell away from me. I didn't even try to quit. I don't want to smoke no more. So, if something's bad for you, and you can cut it loose, then do so. If something's helping you, like when I had to take pain meds for those years, I had to take them. I didn't have no choice. And they constipated me, I had to take laxatives, and it was kind of a nasty situation, but they got me through. When I didn't need them anymore, I weaned myself off them and started taking Kratom instead of the opiates, and then weaned myself down off of that, and was able to do away with, I don't take any medications anymore. Once in a while I'll take a little Kratom. I was taking it 4 times a day at first, and I take it, substantially less than that now, but, a very small amount. And it's not an opiate, it's not a narcotic. Trying to make it illegal, which I think sucks, but they'll probably get their way, just cutting into their pharma action. And weed, I'm glad it's being legalized. I'm all for legalizing it, but I don't like to see young kids getting all stoned and stupid all the time. Back when I was a kid, the weed we smoked, it was nothing like compared to what they got now. Okay? I mean, we got plenty stoned on that. I remember getting the munchies when I was 16, 17, maybe 18, and eating like 5 hamburgers and stuff, But, You know, nowadays we're talking about some serious potency, and I don't like seeing the kids, you know, all zonked out. I just don't think it's a good thing for them to do. We need our youth. The world's got to have something rolling into it after us old parts are gone, you know. So I'd rather the youngs, you know, don't do as I do as I say, kind of thing, I guess. But you know, I hope and pray that the young people will be strong in their spirits and in their minds and their hearts, and do the right thing and not do all the screwing up my generation did. So anyway, well, folks, I babbled on and ranted now for long enough, I reckon. Again, I'm just Marcos Many Dogs. I'm going to try and get an upload once a week. We're going to be dealing with a variety of topics. Have a pen and pencil handy so I can give you various site references. And in the comment section, if there's anything you want me to deal with, anything at all, except, well, I'm not real good at like diesel mechanics and stuff like that. You know, I know basically what's going on there, but don't ask me to do a skit on YouTube about it. Okay? Stick with stuff that's relative to the truther. You want to call it the truther movement or whatever, you know, various topics. I want to stay away, though, like I stated before, from 9/11 and the flat earth deal. Most anything else is on the table. I want to recommend to you folks two channels besides Terry Carter Treasure Hunter. Terry Carter Treasure Hunter. If you like treasure stories and stuff, Terry Carter Treasure Hunter. He's the best, and he's a hell of a good guy. He's just, you know, brother from another mother. But Maxwell Egan, the Crow House, he's got some really good info related to what I'm planning to do here in the near future. But he's a real pro. He's got a few movies on his channel that are excellent. I don't agree with everything Maxwell puts out there, but you know what? He's doing a great job, and I'm 100% behind him, even though I don't agree with everything. And then there's also Matt's channel. It's Quantum Consciousness. Quantum of Conscience. Excuse me. Quantum of Conscience. Matt's real good. He's a real smart, sensitive guy. I'm a little deeper off into more detailed information, but I watch him all the time. I keep up with his stuff all the time because I like how he talks. Highly intelligent young man, and has a really good channel. And I don't know him personally. I'm just spitting out there because I like what he does, and I can recommend him because it's coming from the heart. And anybody else I can think of besides those three in the near future, I will let you know about. It'll be more specific, like when I deal with the ancient megalithic structures found worldwide. There'll be a few channels that relate just to that, or the ancient giants or whatever, and I'll give you reference to those sites when I deal with that subject matter. So, to everybody out there in YouTube land, I'll say hasta luego vaqueros, adios por el presente, pa' acá, dos Vidania, Jai Jen, sayonara, and yes, that's a wrap, mijo.
Okay.
Blessings.